we're starting early tonight on the UFO report, and I can't bring this guy in without playing his theme song here. Here's Tim Seanor, our resident Timbit, as we kick off, not the UFO report, but we're going to talk about the 8th anniversary tonight of Spaced Out Radio.
Nobody's going to know.
They're going to know.
I just love that. I love that intro, man. It gets me going each and every time, man. Yeah, it really is. And we're also joined by our good friend from After Hours, our weekend show, Grant Baker, otherwise known as Grantavious Maximus. And thank you, gentlemen, for joining on in. And you know what we're going to do is if you are in our current audience here, I'm going to let you guys come in. If you guys want to come on in and be a part of the show, you're more than welcome to hop on in here. But, you know, it was 8 years ago tonight where we launched Spaced Out Radio. And I had been out of radio at that point for approximately, 2014, 7 years. When I left terrestrial radio back in 2007, it was really a heartbreaking decision for me. It really was, guys, because I loved radio. I love everything about radio. It's ever since I went to school at BCIT, to one of the best broadcasting programs in Canada. I still have friends now who I went to school with who are teaching there now. I mean, it's kind of incredible. And, you know, it was a journey. It was a journey of learning and living tight. And it was scary, okay, because you learn very, very quickly that for the most part, mainstream radio does not pay the bills. You know, you don't think of things like credit or you know, getting fancy things like a car loan. You know, you just don't think of things like that when you are going through radio. And I worked my last 7 years that I worked in radio. I worked with a gentleman who, I'll be honest with you, I hate the guy. I absolutely hate the guy. And when I left because of him, I knew it was time to leave. And I knew it was time to give up my dream of being in radio. And it was time to get into a career, which I got into financing. And that's all I'll say about that. It was time to get into a career where I didn't have to say no to my children anymore. I didn't have to, you know, I all of a sudden I went from, no, we can't go to McDonald's. No, we can't go to the store and get you new shoes. No, we can't go to, you know, do fun things because there was just no money there. Just no money. And I remember, guys, when I started in radio, I played at a poker game at my friend's house. I was the only one with a college education sitting at that table, and there were 11 of us. And I was the least paid by $17,000 annually at that table to the next guy at the table. All right. It was painful. Yeah. It was really, really painful. But you know what? These experiences, which started for me in 2011, I had no intent of starting Spaced Out Radio until a gentleman named Johnny Enoch in 2014 convinced me to get back on the air and start this show. And when I walked away from terrestrial radio in 2007, I literally had zero clue about internet radio. No clue. So when he came up to me, he's like, well, you know, hey, let's start a radio show with you. I'm like, cool, but that's not going to work. He's like, well, what do you mean? I said, well, you just can't walk into a radio show and say, or a radio station and say, hey, I'm going to broadcast from, at that point, we were only 2 hours a night. I'm going to broadcast from 9 to 11 each night, and you're going to pay me for this to do this show, and this is what we're going to talk about. So that's not how it works. She's like, no, man, there's this whole online radio thing that's been going on a few years, and who cares about the radio stations? The internet has bigger reach and all this kind of stuff. So I was like, yeah, cool. Let's try it. And in 6 weeks, that conversation was on October 2nd. And in 6 weeks, we were ready to go for November 30th. It just came together. And it's been a blessing. It's been a curse. It's been a little bit of emotional at times. It's been hard. I've cried a lot. I've been mad a lot. I've met some incredible people. Mm-hmm. I've had some incredible experiences and seen places that I never thought I would see or be able to go. And hey, man, 8 years in, and I don't feel like quitting.
That's good.
I'm still having fun. I'm still having fun.
And on that note, I actually got you a little something. Do you mind me grabbing it? Yeah.
All right. So the Tim Seanor.
Got you a little something.
There's a present there that I cannot open because you're in Oregon and I'm in British Columbia.
Right. And so I'm going to go ahead and open it for you, and then I'm going to send it to you, buddy. So Here we go. Ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
I'm ready.
Drum roll.
That's right.
And this opening up the paper.
This isn't just from me. This is from everyone in your audience too. All right. But I saw it. I was out shopping, and I knew I had to get this for you.
Oh, that is beautiful. That is beautiful. It is a beautiful toque of camouflage with faux fur on it. You know what? I wear that.
Golden mouth on the back of it.
A golden great white shark mouth on the back. I am so enthralled with that right now. I will wear that during the show.
Definitely. And it's so cold out there. We all thought, this is perfect for Dave. I saw
that is perfect. Thank you.
Canadian bacon. Here we go, buddy.
That is incredible.
From all of us to you, buddy. We love you. And thank you for your show.
Thank you.
Awesomeness.
I will definitely wear that. I will definitely wear that when it gets here, because I will tell you right now, it was cold today. It was minus 14 Celsius with probably a minus 10 wind chill. Mm-hmm. So I was very, very, very cold today. We have a listener calling in here, and there's our man Dank, who's calling in. Dank, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
Good.
And congrats on 8 years. Here's to 1,000 more.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I found a Bigfoot on what is this? Asia. It's a Bigfoot head. They put it on a coin. Like think of our planet as a coin, and they printed their portraits on like our planet. Our planet is currency, bruh.
Google Earth has a picture of a Bigfoot head on it, somewhere in between Europe and Asia.
Yeah, where is this? Borders. Oh,
that is actually kind of cool. I've never seen that face before on the map.
All about perspective.
That is some fantastic pareidolia. Grant.
The bad thing is once you've seen that, Dave, you'll never unsee that again.
Oh, check this out. Look, where's check out Canada, dude. Like, man, I want to go check this out. Where's it at? One of these days, I'm gonna make my way up here and see it. Like, there's some shenanigans up.
You got to turn the world around. You're upside down right now.
Are you sure about that?
I am 100% positive.
All perspective, right? I know where you're going with that.
Look, can you see that? Can you see this like alien-esque head right here? And then it leads into like this next one right here. I think their art. I think they paint with their thing and they like overlap their art, kind of like totem poles and graffiti artists like tag over each other. It's great. And like if you go out further, you can kind of make out more and stuff. And
hold on, what island is that? What island is that?
Scott's Island, or no, Land's Island. next
Okay.
If it had been
Scott.
Scott's Island, that would have been perfect for today. Dave Scott.
It's next to
Yeah,
Scott
no
Island.
kidding.
It's literally right next to Scott Island. Right
There you go.
Yeah, we need to buy an island. We need to buy. Okay,
Buy this
so
one.
so if you are okay, so scroll up here. We'll take you to Dave's hometown where he's broadcasting from. So you're on the West Coast there. Now scroll back down. You got to turn the Earth to 12 o'clock. A little
He doesn't
bit.
know where he is.
So go to your left a little bit because you're in Saskatchewan right now, and that's just flatland territory. They all wave at each other. The dogs never run away because you can always see them 20 miles away running. All right, scroll into BC there, halfway where it says British Columbia. Keep scrolling down, and then go south a little bit on this. So our friend Dank here has a Google map too far. Now zoom in, keep zooming, now go to your east. Go to the east. No, that's west. The other east. There you go. Keep going. And where are we here? Oh, we're getting close. There you go. Now head south just a little bit. Just too much. Way too much. Okay. Now zoom in even further. Now, if you go north a little bit and to the east, northeast, and right there, right in there. What is that? Oh, we got to find the highway. That's not the highway here. Hold on. Yeah, keep going. Keep going east just a little bit. There's Davy's hometown, just south, right there. There it is.
Looks cold even from here.
Yeah, that's the hometown. So where that big black spot is, right in the middle there, that's the that's the town pond of 100 Mile House, the hockey rink right beside it.
Cool.
Oh yeah, that's the main drag. I will show you where the one and only Tim Hortons is. So you got to head to north a little bit, and yeah, there you go. Head north. Stop, and zoom in.
I saw it.
Zoom in. There's Tim Hortons. Right there. You got your arrow.
Oh, bro,
right
there's one right next to Tim. You see the eye? They're everywhere. It's a portrait. He's like looking at Tim Hortons. This guy wants some Tim Hortons. You see him? He's right here.
I don't see him, but I sure see that Tim Hortons.
Sad
Sad part for my town, the Tim Hortons has been closed for 1 month for renovations. It's terrible right now. But nonetheless, that's hometown headquarters right there. Hometown HQ. So if you zoom on out, you can see how much forest there is between me and the other cities. So I literally am in the middle of nowhere. Dank, thank you so much for coming on in. We're going to send you back to your computer here, and we appreciate you, my friend. Thank you. All right. Let's say hello to Enzo. Enzo always has the best hair of our audience here. There he is. Enzo.
I actually need to get it cut.
Now, Enzo, I want you to do me a favor, if you don't mind,
Sure.
because you were at our Vegas party earlier this year,
Yes, I was.
and you hit it big time there. You hit it big time.
I did.
What was that like? Snapping that slot machine for like, I think
Look
you
at
won
that.
like
That's great. What a great
$2,500.
Oh,
$2,500 you won.
It's beautiful.
That was beautiful.
That picture right there, Dave actually took that picture. That's
I did take the picture.
that was the first wave. I just was playing some slots. You and Ben and Joe from UFO. Yeah,
Thin Lizzy was there.
And I went across the craps. Roulette table to try and get a good picture of you guys, but the crowd was so thick I couldn't get back. I was like, and the high roller slots were right behind me. He's like, I'll throw a 20 in and lose all my money, and then I'll figure out how to get it back. And it just started hitting, and it kept hitting, and it kept hitting. And it was the $5 slot is what I was playing, and it hit, and it hit. And after about like and I was only doing like the single line. And then when I got up to like 200 or 300, I started like doing all lines. And after about the 10th or 12th spin, alarms started going off and sirens were happening and lights were flashing. I was like, what happened? get the little thing that comes up on the screen. It's $2,020 some dollars. Wait for attendant to pay out.
That's awesome.
And I was like waving for you guys. It's like, hey, that was actually my biggest win on the slots. I usually, I've gotten like a few hundred here and there before, but nothing like that. And the other thing is, of course, you got to fill out a tax form, and they got to check your ID, and there's other paperwork you have to do, and then they come out with a big stack of. Actually, I still got some of it here. A big stack of bills, and just start.
Look at that.
Here he still has his Vegas cash. Oh, I love it.
Everyone should always. I'll get it so you can see. Everyone should always have emergency cash on hand, which is the only reason to go to Vegas, because they just give it to you. It's really easy. I don't see what all this gambling stuff is all about. People say it's so hard.
Party at Enzo's house.
Enzo, do you recommend our audience members come hang out with us in Vegas for the second annual one?
This year? If not to see, of course, Dave, with wonderful 8 years, congratulations.
Thank you.
All the guests that you run into. I mean, days before the actual live show, I'm chatting with, Strat and Goodall and everybody else that was just hanging around that came in a few days early, and it was amazing times. But my favorite part was actually getting to meet all of the folks in chat in real life and have actual, face-to-face conversations. I absolutely loved it. It was my favorite part.
You know what? That is one of the most special parts, because most of those people I had met personally, that like our special guests who had arrived. There were a few that I hadn't, but it was actually meeting the fans there and being able to take pictures and shake some hands and give a few hugs out. I mean, that was the ultimate for me. And that's why, we open it up to everybody. We open it up to everybody to be there and just have some fun. It's a different dynamic than what other people doing. It's not a conference. It's all of a sudden being able to say, hey, Jim Goodall or Science Bob or whomever, do you mind? Can we go for lunch? And you go for lunch with people who you've only seen on TV or listened to on the radio or seen at conferences. And there they are sitting with you like a regular human being, and you get to talk some aliens, or you get to talk some Bigfoot or paranormal. I mean, can you imagine how the crowd's going to react when Merle, is there? They're going to be like, Merle. Everybody needs their own Merle T-shirt.
Could hang out with Carter Bouchard and get signed books by him, that kind of stuff. I met Carter our first night there. We all went to dinner together. Dave and Carter and Science Bob and quite a few others. And to be fair, Carter and we were on the cool end of the table, but we had a blast, making jokes and just people watching and stuff like that, and just regular people. Oh, look at that! Oh yeah, that's the Lazar shirt too.
Yeah, wear my Bob Lazar shirt. That's for sure. That is, we're going to have a few more activities this year. I know Carter is going to be putting together a poker tournament for anybody who wants to play. So I'm in on that. I am so playing in on that. I believe there's going to be a Sky Watch. We're going to have, for any VIPs, we're going to have a VIP package. And you know what? $100 for the VIP package.
That's actually really cheap.
You go to a conference these days, for a weekend conference, VIP, it's like $300, $400.
Right.
Yeah.
Or if not more. And you know what? For $100, you get your VIP, you get a swag bag with that. And you get to come to a VIP event that we're going to hold on the Friday night in Vegas. And I believe Kira and I are working on putting that together in regards to it. And it's going to be a fun time, man. It's going to be a fun time. And if you're lucky enough, we may even have an event where you get to pick out Enzo's next Hawaiian shirt.
I will bring a selection. They're very popular there amongst the ladies of the night. Unknown to me. Yeah. It's like,
yeah. Oh my.
It's a good story though.
It is. Literally getting chased out of the bar.
But you know what? It is an exciting time, and I will be honest with you. I think about it every day. Every day. I know we are one day closer to May 19th through 21st, 2023 at the Golden Nugget in Las Vegas. And we have got a room. There's going to be a 6 to 7 hour live YouTube show that night where we are going to be broadcasting, and all of our team, 100% of our team is going to be there. And you're going to get to meet them. We're going to get banners put up so that way people can get pictures taken in front of banners. And we're going to make it a lot more viable this year. So that way a lot of people can find their favorite people, get pictures with them, get autographs, get everything that you need. And hey, afterwards, let's all go for a drink. How about that?
It's beautiful.
I love it.
Cheers.
I love it.
And Dave, it makes me laugh every time I think about it. But what's the song that runs through your head as you're perhaps on the plane about to land in Vegas?
What's my song?
What's that song that's running through your head?
I have two. I have two. Number one is Paradise City by Guns N' Roses. Number two is Home Sweet Home by Motley Crue, because every time I land in every time I land in Las Vegas, it feels like I'm home. Like it is my second home. And I would absolutely I love where I live because it's just an incredible place where I live. But if I were to move again, I'm moving to Vegas.
I laughed so hard when he told me that. I was like, I can't even imagine. It would be like a stick of butter just being thrown into a pan. It's so hot there. And here's Dave coming from Canada, right? And it's just like, I don't think you get it. It's still so hot there, man. Are you sure? You just melt by just like exiting the vehicle.
Buddy, there's air conditioning everywhere, number one.
That's hilarious.
And number two, I can go riding my side-by-side with my cousin lives in Vegas. Yeah. My cousin looks like Bob Vila. And so I call him Bob Vila. Cousin Bob, he lives in Vegas. He has a side-by-side. I have a side-by-side. And we'll go riding in the mountains until it's time to hit in for the show. You know?
There you go.
Yeah.
Stay in the clouds.
And when in doubt, every house has a pool. Every house has a pool. So that's okay.
I see Nicole
gentlemen, I'm gonna
dancing out there too. Hello, Nicole.
I'm going to get all of you guys to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here. We have one more hour, and I know Tim has a bunch of questions for me about the history of Spaced Out Radio. It is our 8th anniversary of the mighty SOR. I remember the nights when we had 10 to 15 listeners on the lowly Blog Talk Radio, and here we are now, 7 terrestrial radio affiliates, over thousands upon thousands of people listening to us on a nightly basis. All of you, it's a special kind of people that takes your listening to SOR. That's for sure. All right, we are clear.
Awesome.
We are clear.
Congratulations, Dave. This is fantastic.
Oh, dude. You know, I really look forward to the Vegas trip. You know, you know what? I'll give you one of the memories because he's in the chat room tonight. Mark Sanchez, fantastic hair, by the way, fantastic hair. And he was rocking a Hawaiian shirt too. But it was after the conference because I didn't get to, even though I was sitting right up front, I didn't get to see everybody. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot going on. And then afterwards, I walked downstairs and everybody was kind of in a couple of different restaurants. I'm kind of bouncing. And Mark runs into me. He was like, Dave Scott, I was just there. Mark Sanchez from your chat room. It was one of the most important times because I didn't see him there. Not that I would know what Mark looked like because I'd never met him before. But it was just one of those happy moments that we were able to come together. And he's like, man, I made up these stickers for you. And can I give you some? And I'm like, yeah, man. And, you know, did you have a good time? And we had a great chat and, you know, just got to hang out with him or, you know, you get to see like Obi Flett from our chat room. That dude's a monster. Like he's at least 250 to 270. He's a big muscular man. Right. and he's just like, hey man, I'm Obi Flat, and I'm like, hey dude, what's going on? Like, don't crush me, you know.
Ah.
You know, and Chris Holm, who does some incredible art, you know, him being there, and Science Bob, and Nicole, and you know, Melinda, and Lorian, and Jim. I mean, just Nate Rudd, and Hallmark being there, and Carter, you know. And I got to make a list here because I know there's a lot of people coming back from last year, but I know there's going to be a few new people coming in as well. I just got to start preparing a list here pretty quick on who people get to meet. But it's going to be awesome. It's going to be absolutely great. I look forward to it.
One of my favorite things too was getting to hang out with.
I'll be right back, guys. You guys chat
with Dirty Fylth for a little bit, and actually got a little mini Fylth original.
That's
there.
cool.
That was the lizard. Yep.
Oh, that's funny. You got the lizard. I got the the monolith or megalith or something like that.
And you can get his book of Fylth on Amazon, right?
Mm-hmm. In fact, here's what it looks like. Just for anybody that wants to know, this is Cryptic Cartoons by Dirty Fylth. You can find it on Amazon. There's a couple other places you can find it as well. He also just came out with a calendar the other day, so look for that.
Oh, that's
going to be awesome.
Calendar, that's great. I didn't know about that one.
Yeah,
just getting to see all the people from the chat was my favorite part. There was a point during one of the nights. It was the Saturday. It was after the show, the live taping or the live recording rather, and a group of the folks from the chat, which it was the first time I met him, literally like grabbed me. He's like, "Hey, come out here where we can talk." That was the one downside of where we were at, is everywhere is loud. So we're actually having a conversation in the middle of the casino floor because that was the quietest place. But it was literally, it's like, hey, we want to tell you our story. We want to hear your story because we know you're not going to like snicker at us or laugh at us. We're all the same here. You're at least going to hear us out and, give us your thoughts and all that. And we want those thoughts. And it was just 4 of us that we went one at a time around our little circle. And, there was a ghost thing, and it was a UFO thing. It was a shadow person story. There's all of these stories of things that everyone had personally encountered, and we all got to share in that. And I loved it. I could have sat there for the rest of the night doing exactly that.
Yeah, that's the best.
It was a lot of fun.
We should have Nicole jump in so that she's here for Dave. Yeah, I see her in the chat. Nicole, jump in. He'd probably love to high five you today of all days. Yeah, Vegas is fun. I mean, the funny thing is, for me, the only time I won, Dave had just gone upstairs to his room, and I was like getting rid of whatever I had left in my pockets. And I had a couple of win tickets, and so I was spending those, and I won $500. And I was like,
nice.
Should I tell Dave? And I'm like, no, I should not tell Dave, because it was like one of those things we had, not really seriously gambled, but we'd pissed away, like maybe $200. And so it was just one of those things I decided not to tell him. I didn't tell him until I was like home. I felt so bad. I was like, oh man, and it was like one of those things where you're not even trying, Yep. I was like, oh,
that's how it works.
Yeah.
On mine, when I still had like $300 in the machine, after they paid me out, and I've got my hands were just full of paperwork and money and stuff like that.
Right.
So I'm trying to find pockets for it, and I'm just hitting the play all just to get rid of the money that was on the machine. And then I was like, okay, I'm like hungry. Let's go. And everybody's eyes were this big. I look, and it was like had gone back up to $600.
And you're like, oh man, I'm never gonna get out of here.
Dude, you kept hitting on that machine.
I actually hit after that I hit a couple more max bets, and it dropped immediately down to 400. It's like, that's it, I'm out, cash out, $400.
Oh yeah,
that's the way they work.
Yep.
Tonight has been a very special night for super chats tonight. I want to make sure I get everybody in. Vaughn, Kira, Surf Jer ×2, Ollie, Deb, Mark, Christina, Lala, W Decker ×2, W David Page, Monica, Jeremy, Pam, Science Bob, Mennonite Abe, and Steven. Thank you so much for the love. Steve Wolf as well. Thank you so much. Here we go with the third hour, guys.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. It's our 8th anniversary here, and I got some special guests here with us tonight, hanging on out, being a part of it, and enjoying the fun. Earlier, we had Peter Robbins on, talking about UFOs. This half, we are going just going through memory lane here tonight about all the fun stuff we have talked about over the years on Spaced Out Radio. And I want to say thank you and hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates across North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, at KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button as we are encroaching on 20,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel, and we'd love it if you hit subscribe on that as well. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Yagna is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We got a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. And we're going to continue with the after hours show here. Well, it's not really after hours. We're still kind of going here, with hour number 3 of the show. But there's a lot of people I want to say a big thank you to right now. I want to say a big thank you to a couple of people who you may not know their names, but they are mentors and they are real supporters of what we do on Spaced Out Radio. My business partner, Ashy, who is, nobody's ever met him. He's a short, little, ugly troll of a man. He really is. All right. He is, he's addicted to rock and roll. He's seen Iron Maiden, I think, 162 times. I'm not even exaggerating on that number. He flies all over the world to watch Iron Maiden and the Scorpions and Def Leppard. Those are his 3 favorite bands, but Ashley and I have been friends for, oh my goodness, 21 years, 20 years almost. And when I needed some help to really try and get Spaced Out Radio off the ground in 2018, I messaged him and I said, Bud, I have an idea. And this is what I think. And he knew me from a sports radio days in Vancouver. And he's like, dude, let's do it. Let's do it. And we've been doing it, man. And he's my silent partner behind Spaced Out Radio. And I really, really want to give a shout out to him. He owns a bar in Vancouver called the Vancouver Moose, which is right downtown. And he is, every time we talk, he's very excited about how our audience is growing and how everything is moving forward. And, we're a small business, we are, but we're starting to make some headwaves here, going into year number 8, or I guess, number 8 here. And, without him, I couldn't do this. He's been there through the times when I've been excited. He's been through the times when I've wanted to say, that's enough. I've had enough. And he has never, ever shot me down. He's been a backbone to me. And the other person that I would love to really congratulate and thank is a gentleman named Chuck Contreras. And now Chuck owns one of our radio stations in Ridgecrest, California called KZAX, or in my Canadian accent, KZAX. Okay. And, I was looking for some technical help because I'm not the most technical guy. And I really needed some technical help. And he met, and so I went in this group, radio group. And I said, I need some help with some editing and stuff. I have a few questions. And he messaged me. He's like, how can I help you out? Well, that turned into a 4-hour conversation on the phone. And he had told me he, for the last 30 plus years, he had been a talk show host in Texas, came to California. He's worked in television and radio, owns the radio station. And he goes, and I asked him, would you critique Spaced Out Radio and tell me what you think? Tell me what you really believe. The next day, we talked for another 2.5 hours. And his first words out of his mouth were, I want this show on my radio station. I want this show. And that was really our second radio station next to Ryan O'Neill at WQEE in Noonan, Georgia. And it was incredible because Chuck has been just, no matter what time I call, he's right there for us. And he has been absolutely amazing. So Chuck Contreras, thank you. And I want to say thank you to our other terrestrial affiliates, Jody Panu and Praveen at Saga 960 in Mississauga, Ontario, Len Novin at the Bull and the Rattler in Apache Junction, to the team in Bellingham at KZAX. We love you guys, and thank you so much. We're growing, and we're trending in the right direction. And, we may never be as big as other shows out there, but our job is to provide strange entertainment for you, for all of you to be able to ride the woo train, hear some weird, strange stories that get you away from your daily life. And one of the focuses when we started taking this seriously was really, guys, for us to try and give people a break from their everyday lives. And where I learned that from was listening. We were all fans back in the day of Art Bell. God bless Art Bell.
Oh, yes.
And none of us would know this programming if it wasn't for Art. And the one thing that I will say, guys, is this. My job here is easy. I just get to talk to people. But what we do on a nightly basis is we try for 3 hours a night to take people away from what you are hammered with by the mainstream media, by your work. Everybody is sick of politics. We're sick of COVID. We're sick of arguing with our neighbors. We're sick of everything that is going on because life is hard right now. Financially, it's hard. For a lot of people out there who are just stressing. People are having to take second jobs just to pay the rent or the mortgage, let alone put food on the table. And we are able to give people that escape from one reality into a different reality where we talk a lot of strange, weird things here with weird experiences. And it's a breath of fresh air every night when we come on this show. And Grant, you're starting to notice this now, running the After Hours show. The importance of what we do on a nightly basis here really does, transfix what we are doing. And we've had some great hosts, great volunteers over the years. I think of Lynn Wallington, who is absolutely amazing. I think of Big Willie as well. I think of a lot of other, Tessa Nicole Thomas, Elizabeth Anglin, Dave Cruz. Over the years, there's some mistakes that we made. We're not going to mention those, but hey, when you're a growing business, you are bound to have some great people and then have some doozies. And we've had some doozies. We'll just say that, but the main thing is, Rich Giordano was another great host for us. Just going through the list here. But nonetheless, it's been a real breath of fresh air to be able to be here nightly. And Tim, I know you got a bunch of different questions that you want to ask. I know you were preparing for this. So fire away, man. Fire away.
Well, I'll tell you what, Bud, and congratulations again. I know your audience is buzzing tonight. It's got a great vibe in your audience, I must say. You have so much love and support. And you got to know that every bit of love that's coming from you to your audience is totally reciprocated. And, as myself being a longtime audience member, before I was ever on your show, your show offers a lot of guidance. It's not all woo, and you have incredible guests and your style is very easy. So you get a lot of the truth out of your interviews, and it's great. I wouldn't change a thing. You're dynamic, my brother.
Thank you.
So Absolutely. And the fact that you look a little bit like my favorite human on the planet, Jerry Garcia, if you couldn't tell, doesn't hurt at all. I mean, there's just that. But anyways, so keeping to your origin story, I would love to know the origin of the perfect name for your show, Spaced Out Radio.
Oh, goodness. How did we get that? We wanted to come up with something that nobody else was using that really kind of fit the form of the format that we wanted. I was going through at that time a lot of UFO stuff personally. I had just been taken for the first time that I knew of. And I wanted something that was going to capture that. There were a couple of other names that we were going with. It was more Canadiana. It was more West Coast kind of stuff. And it just didn't fit. And one night it was just like, I wonder if spaced out, because people are kind of spaced out at times at night. And, you never know. I mean, we're at a nighttime audience. Some people will be having a drink before bed or a hoot or whatever you do. And, we're going to bring them some weird spacey type topics. And that's how the name kind of formed.
Yeah. It works on so many levels. And I think your audience gets it on all those levels. It's just great. It's such a perfect fit. And so I guess my next question for you would be, and you kind of answered it a little bit, how close is your personal experience motivated this show? And perhaps how close is some of these topics to the bone for you? Is this why you did the show?
I did the show originally and started this show originally to try and find out answers from people who had been researching this a long time. But the problem that I had when I was doing my own research on everything, I would find things that were similar, but never exactly what I experienced. And it frustrated me. It frustrated me to the point where, I thought a lot of these people would have answers, whether it was Stanton Friedman, whether it was Lori Fenton or Melinda Leslie or Danny and Brinkley or Bill Bean or a lot of these people who we've interviewed over the years, Grant Cameron, Paul Hellyer. And the one thing that I learned was they may have a lot more knowledge about the events of the subject, but nobody is close to the answers. There's not a soul of us that are close to the answers. There are some people who I have met. Okay, Geraldine Orozco is very, very tight with me because her and I have experienced a lot of the same things. A new person who we just had on the radio a couple months ago in Lily Nova. She reminds me so much of my good friend Samantha Mowat, who I had the alien experience with in the forest. I look at all of these people, and everybody has their own game or their own dynamic of what they bring to the table. And, look, I absolutely love a lot of the topics that we talk about. I could talk about it every single day. I really could. Okay. And granted, I do, but in my daily life, this has become a part of me. It's who I am. We got an audience question here coming from Kelly.
Excellent.
What topic or phenomena remains your most favorite and why? There's a couple things I love. I love interviewing people who are experiencers, people where you may not know their name. Okay. But this has affected them so greatly. Like recently we just did Nicole. She's called the UFO on Twitter. She felt, after years of listening to us, that we were the ones that she wanted to tell her story to. I love stories like that. Allison Yellowknee, another great listener who her and her family are First Nations in northern Alberta, where their entire family and relatives on their reserve have all been affected by the UFO phenomena. I love stories like that. The stories that I would love to cover more of that really intrigue me, I love time travel. Because I do believe there are time travelers here. Immortality, because I do believe there are immortals here. Where they are, I have no idea. I love telepathy, because I do believe that we all have that ability to do it. But those would be my 4 favorite topics of what we do on a nightly basis. So thank you for your question, Kelly, who was recently a guest on this show as well. But you meet some interesting people. You do. I mean, our Keith Andrews. I mean, that resident weirdo, I absolutely love him. I absolutely love him. And a lot of people who listen to him will say, this guy's a complete nutbar. But you get to know him on a personal level, and then all of a sudden he tells you what's going on or what's going to happen, and that experience happens. It blows your mind.
Right. I'm going to go ahead and run into my next question, if that's okay. And
go right ahead.
So you've interviewed thousands of people. You've done a ton of shows, and you've had some incredible guests with incredible stories. So you kind of brushed on this a little bit as well, but could you tell me perhaps what you've learned? What's the big thing that you can say in a positive or negative way? What can you say you've learned from all this work that you put into this show?
Just trying to figure out. We were getting a little feedback there. I don't know if it's from Grant. Grant, it might be you, or is it you, Timmy? I don't know. I know it's not Enzo, because he's got like $1 million studio there. What have I learned from this? I to be honest with you, I've learned that we will never get the answers. I've learned that the experiencers are a hell of a lot more knowledgeable than what they are given credit for. I think experiencers, whether it's of the paranormal, especially of the UFO, are way more knowledgeable about what's going on than what we truly know. Yeah. And that is absolutely incredible to learn. The disappointment of it all is knowing that people can't see the trees through the forest, and knowing that they're being played when it comes to disclosure. There are certain things that piss me off. Like, I could get nitpicky here. The minute paranormal investigators use the word science, I know from the majority of them that they haven't done a science experiment since high school. And they are, I don't say that to be rude, but you're not conducting anything scientific. Stop lying to yourself to make yourself look better. I've been disappointed with a lot of the groundwork from groups like the BFRO that are editing their reports for the sake of what they feel is reputation. Mm-hmm. Okay, because they don't want the woo. They don't want the story of Bigfoot vanishing right in front of the eyewitness, or a UFO flying over, or orbs surrounding a Sasquatch. They don't want that, so they edit their reports. Well, guess what? All of your stats are garbage. All of them. Every single statistic and report you take is false. And that is disappointing to me. But It's not always about the negative. We could dwell on the negative because nothing is ever fixed in these fields. But there's a lot of positives too. Okay? The positives of meeting some great people who've experienced something that is so out of imagination that they can't even tell whether they're coming or going.
Right.
And I like bringing that emotion. Like a lot of times you'll hear me use the term with an experiencer. How did it feel? How do you feel? Because I want that personal connection with that person for our audience to know how they were affected by this phenomena. And once we all figure out that this is real, you are literally looking at something where we can grow. Because Tim, I may have a quarter of the answer. Enzo may have a quarter of the answer. Grant may have a quarter of the answer. You may have a quarter of the answer. But if we don't come together and talk about it, how are we supposed to figure it out?
Exactly.
And that's what's important.
Totally agree. Totally
That's
agree.
great. And what a great answer. So you've inspired thousands of people to look into topics that normally they're a little uncomfortable with. And so we've talked about things between just the two of us of how we can expand the platform. And I'm wondering to you, sir, in your ideal situation, you have the world at your fingertips. You can inspire millions using this platform. What would be the one message you would like to convey perhaps to the next generation or to everyone that's out here? Just maybe a personal note, but just, this is just a moment for you.
If you're getting into this field, okay, and trust me, there are more good people in this field than there are bad people. And there are some not so good people, or there's some good people in there who do some not so good things. Okay. Number one, if you're going to start a podcast or a radio show or a YouTube channel on these subjects, be professional. Okay. Don't sit there and eat your yogurt or have an ice cream cone or have a steak right while you're there. Number two, be sober. If you're having guests, be sober. All right, because the most important thing that I've learned in this whole journey is time. Everything has to do with time. Like we're coming to a commercial break in 30 seconds. We have to time that out. Okay? But when someone gives you their time, whether it's in the audience or whether it's a guest, respect that time. Respect their time that they are giving you. And I think it's a lost art. With everybody and their dog these days having a podcast because they want to get their opinion out because they're frustrated that, they haven't found a radio show or a YouTube channel that suits their niche, they start their own, which is great. I will encourage that all the time. But stop acting like a know-it-all because nobody knows everything, and respect people's time. We'll continue that when we return on Spaced Out Radio. We're celebrating the 8th anniversary of the mighty SOR. Hard to believe we've been on the air 8 years, talking about all the things that go woo in the night. And we'll be back for the final half hour of this show when we return. Stay tuned. But getting back to my point there is like when I train Grant or I've tried to train other hosts, it really is about being conversational. Stop with the bullshit aha gotcha moments. We don't need those because a lot of times what's happening in society, we see it on social media. You can have an entire page of notes, but there's all these people out there that want to focus on the one little controversial sentence. They're not worried about the lead up to that sentence or the explanation of that sentence. They just want that aha gotcha moment. And that drives me nuts. It drives me nuts in society. It drives me nuts on this show because I've had people, hey, no politics on this show. Why are you talking politics? Well, right now UFOs are political, so we're going to go down that road. We're going to go down that road. We're not talking about budgets for food or healthcare or crime or military. We're not talking that. We're talking UFOs. But somebody wants to give you that aha gotcha moment. You're talking politics. You're breaking your own rules. Piss off.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I don't like.
If either of you guys have anything, please. I'm sorry I'm dominating stuff. I came kind of prepared for Dave, so please.
Those were great questions.
Yeah.
I just have one that I'll hold off on, but
okay,
it's along the same rounds of the last one you had, but this was more you.
Ask away. We got like 3.5 minutes, Ev.
Go for it.
Oh, my question was going to be that you mentioned time travel earlier. It made me think, okay, if you had like that elevator pitch type moment, just a few seconds, what would 2022 Dave say to 8 years ago, Dave, as advice for the show?
Tasty.
One part I'm not allowed to say on the air. Okay. One part I'm not allowed.
I know that part.
You know, yeah. You know, probably the big thing is this: you're going to go through a lot of ups and downs. You're going to be frustrated. You're going to have a lot of moments where you think you've taken those 2 steps forward, but you're taking 1 step back. It's not 3 steps back. It's 1 step back. You're going to have a lot of people who love you, who are going to move on to their own projects and leave you hanging. And, you know, you're going to put a lot of trust and faith in people who don't really have your trust and faith in return. Been through that a few times. You're going to,
and then of course you're going to whisper very quickly, avoid Chipotle in June.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to meet some incredible people along the way. You know, you're going to become more fickle. Like, for instance, I don't believe, Enzo, when somebody who I've never heard of, and I see it all the time on Twitter and Facebook, yeah, the helicopters are flying over my house, or I got followed by black SUVs. And I sit there and think, I do this every day publicly with my face on camera, and there's only been one time that I know of that my phone has been tapped. Okay, one time that I know. And that was a cool experience with Everett Themer, where literally we were telling the person to hang up on us. Like, literally hang up the call. And I think it was after the 5th or 6th time that had happened that they finally got bored of us and stopped. But we knew it was a CIA. I mean, then you take excuse me. Then you take things with a grain of salt. Like, I remember when I talking to Rick Doty one time, where he said that, you know, that there were at minimum 6 people per night listening to this show in DC. You know, what from the alphabet agencies, when we had certain topics on. So we're talking UFOs, they're listening. He gave me the name of a guy named Gene. Now, is Rick telling me the truth? Because I think that's kind of cool. You know?
As long as they're hitting like and subscribe, that's great.
Absolutely.
That's 6 more.
If you're an alphabet agency, you know, I don't believe your crap about disclosure, but hey, hit subscribe and the like button. Give us a thumbs up if you don't mind. And we do take super chats from agents. You know, but you know, probably the biggest mystery, we got like 15 seconds here. The biggest mystery I have, because I see all the nicknames in the chat room, I always wonder, is there somebody famous in our chat room that just wants to be normal? Hold on, guys. Here we go.
Interesting.
Round and third, we're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate it. Want to remind you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Excuse me. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio.
Right on, right on.
Yep, we continue on. Got a little frog in my throat there. I don't know how that happened.
Celebrating 8 years with Dave Scott.
8 years. I'm all verklempt and emotional here. You know, what am I supposed to do? My goodness.
You have a sip on that while I prepare my next question for you, because I wasn't there. I wasn't one of the 15 original members of your chat on that faithful night 8 years ago exactly today. So could you tell me a little bit about your very first show and who your guest was and how you were nervous perhaps and preparing, and if there were any fumbles of the ball and if you dropped the mic? And I need deets.
Oh, well. Let's see. Alfred Labermont Weber, who has turned into a giant, very strange, and I mean that politely, conspiracy theorist, was guest number one.
And how did you meet him? May I just
met him at a conference.
Okay.
Johnny Enoch, excuse me. Johnny Enoch, who helped me set up this show.
Okay.
Was a friend of Alfred's and had Alfred speak at his UFO conference in Vancouver that I emceed. And I asked Alfred, would you be my first guest? And he's like, absolutely. So he said we start at 9 o'clock at night, and I'll need you for 2 hours. And, you know, I think I had some cheesy intro intro music and all this kind of crap. Go on, stumbling and fumbling. But right before that, Alfred tells me, like 4 minutes before we're going on the air, that he can only be here for an hour.
Oh, no. Oh, no. That's the last thing you want to hear on your debut night. Enzo, can you imagine?
Yeah. Much like people want to hear me coughing right now.
That would be such a nightmare. Grant, what would you do if somebody was bounced on you like that? Would you just riff for that last hour, or would you, like, what would you do?
You have to.
It is literally one of the hardest things, knowing that you're going to be on air solo and you're unprepared for it.
On your first night.
Yes.
Minutes before it, no less. Poor Dave. Oh, my gosh. Brutal.
I could only imagine.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
So I'm texting
brutal.
Johnny. Johnny bailed me out. Came on for the second hour of the show.
Oh, nice.
And so that worked. I had 1,500 listeners that first night. 1,500.
Wow. Live?
And yeah.
That's amazing. Wow.
Alfred had a poll.
That's so
night
cool.
number 2. I'm thinking, oh, wow, this is easy. Night number 2, 10 listeners.
Oh,
ouchies.
Night number 3, 13 listeners. Night number 4, 15 listeners. Night number 5, 12 listeners. Night number 6, 17 listeners.
Were you wondering if it was you or the material, or did you just figure it was because you hadn't gotten that the publicity with the big first name?
Actually, our first month we had some very big name guests. We did. I was booking like anything. I did it all. I booked, did all the audio, did everything. And it was really cool. And at first I was doing 7 days a week.
At what point did you realize that you were going to be able to pull in affiliates and expand into real radio?
Well, I knew that was the goal that I wanted right off the bat. I wanted to get this on terrestrial radio.
Why was that important to you? It's
probably
it's the hockey side of you, isn't it? You just
no. It's a radio professional side.
Yeah,
and not a lot of people were doing it on terrestrial radio. I mean, you have George Norrie, where you love him or hate him, and I love the guy, I do. But you try and figure it out, and you just have goals, and that was a goal.
And did it control your format because you were wanting to have yourself on radio? So it kind of maybe controlled your format. Perhaps, obviously, we have our breaks and things like that in amongst our talk. And so was that kind of part of your format, that you liked that radio break format and things like that?
I didn't know how else to do it. I was trained that way.
Your roots in sportscasting, right?
Yeah. I mean, you got to realize I'd never heard a podcast. I didn't even know what a podcast was. Right? I didn't know. So I went with what I knew. And naively, if I would have known that there was so much competition and so many different shows, and nobody was really doing YouTube 8 years ago regarding what we do. Okay, remember, I mean, going before Google bought YouTube, I mean, everything was on YouTube. I mean, you could see some pretty grotesque things on YouTube, you know, right. and like real life events,
yeah,
that were just bizarre.
That's yes,
you know, and if you were a real gory fan, you could watch people losing limbs. You know, they used to have. You know, believe it or not, YouTube used to have terrorist beheadings on their channel.
How have you seen, and this kind of leads into my next question a little bit, how have you seen your show change over these 8 years? Have you seen any more reality coming into this subject? I mean, it's kind of like one of those things, I'm kind of new to the subject, and I'm like, are there just more reports because we all have technology, or is it because there's more of them? Or like, for you, what is it for you?
There's a lot more rules that you have to follow. You never know who's listening. You never know who's watching. You never know who's going to take offense to a comment that you find funny. That's what hurts, because I really have I have a weird sense of humor. You know,
yes, you do. I can vouch for
that. You know,
I think even your audience has heard some pretty funny stuff come out of your mouth.
But I mean, you know, you have to be careful, because everybody is on. The one thing that I've noticed is how on edge everybody is. You know, whether you say the wrong thing in chat, whether you say the wrong thing on the air.
Right.
You know, I've had people come up to me and say, if you do another flat earth show, I'll never listen to you again.
You know what? And Dave, so what is the lesson to be learned there is do more insulting jokes to Bigfoots directly and to aliens directly, because they're going to come out of the woodwork to give you a hard time. So more direct insults to aliens and Bigfoots.
I think what it is, you know, when the bigger your voice becomes, the louder your voice becomes, the larger your voice becomes, the more the more criticism you're going to go to. And look, I know we're not everybody's cup of tea. Even on our terrestrial affiliates, I know that there are listeners, and the minute we come on, they tune out because they don't want to hear this kind of crap that we talk about. You know, and I get that, and I can appreciate that. We're not gonna make everybody happy. And as somebody who is a people pleaser, that's very difficult for me. You know, I've developed bad habits over the time. I forget to call people back all the time. Yeah, I'll call you later on. I'll call you this time. I'll call you that time. And then I get caught up, and you know, next thing you know, it's showtime. It's showtime, and I'm off, and I have to tell people point blank, hey, if I don't call you back, don't hold it against me.
Well, you have your audience very close to you. I mean, you have an audience member right here and right here, and you know, we're all very close. Why do you feel it's so important to hold your audience so close to you?
Because they make the show. The audience makes the show. You know, one of our latest volunteers that has joined our team, I don't know if he wants me to mention his name yet or on the air. I'll mention his first name, Justin. Okay. Who's recently joined our team as a digital marketing guy. There's a guy who has sat in the background for 5 years. I think he's only been in the chat room once or twice, so I don't even know his chat room name, right? Because most people use an alias in our chat rooms. And I look at somebody like that, and they're like, I want to be involved. I want to help. I feel I can help you out. You look at all these people that are out there, man. They're tired. They're tired of the same newscast every day. They're tired of journalists giving their opinions rather than telling stories the way journalists are supposed to tell stories. They're tired of fake news, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. They're tired of politics. They're tired of everything doom and gloom that is going on. Never mind the world. Let's just concentrate on North America. So when they come to us, we have to be ready each and every night to provide that entertainment. And trust me, I've been ripped. Well, you have a big show. You shouldn't be about entertainment. You should be about facts. Facts about what? Your facts are different than mine. It's much like, every now and again we'll get somebody in our chat room. Well, you have no proof. This is BS. You have no proof. What is proof? What is proof on anything that we do? Well, you have no pictures, you have no videos, you have no this. All you have is a bunch of people telling stories. True. And in a court of law, those people telling those stories are good enough to put someone away for life or give somebody the death penalty.
Exactly.
Okay?
Yep.
So why is anecdotal proof good enough for the court of law, but it's not good in the court of UFOs or Bigfoot or paranormal?
That is so frustrating. Great point.
I got a question here from Dank. What would you recommend to aspiring radio hosts to help make overall workload more efficient? Use streaming platforms. So that way you don't have to do everything yourself. It's worth the $50 to go on Spreaker. And the next thing you know, once you hit stop on that show, on the recording, it is distributed to 15 or 20 different podcast sites. Saves you a ton of work. A ton of work. Learn YouTube. Okay? Stay away. For some reason, in our field, there are all these little networks that are popping up again. We have this ABC Paranormal Network. We got DCF Paranormal Network. And they're promising millions upon millions of listeners to people. And if you pay us $100 a month or $500 a month, we'll put you on our station. We'll guarantee you that you'll have 100,000 listeners a night. Guys, I've been doing this for 8 years, and I've never paid to play. Don't pay to play, because all you're doing is paying somebody to lie to you. That's it. Okay, I know what our listener total is. We've calculated it by books from radio and by online views and listens. We average, thanks to our terrestrial radio stations and our digital stations that carry this live, we average about 177,000 listeners a night. Now that's a lot. So when I hear somebody on some dinky online program that has 261 followers on Twitter, 87 on Instagram, and they're promising their hosts are getting 1 million listeners a night, yeah, stop lying. And never pay to play. Why would somebody pay when you can go on YouTube and do it for free? Or you could go on Rumble or BitChute or Twitch. You can do it all for free. That's it. It's simple. So, and the other thing too is never talk over your guest. Let your guest speak. Too many podcasters out there will hammer their guests. They think, I'm going to get the truth. I'm going to call BS on you. I'm going to hammer you. I'm going to make a statement. What does that do? It just makes you look like a jerk, number one. Or I remember I was a guest on one show where they would ask me experiences. I would start telling my experiences. Then they would cut me off to tell me their own experiences. Okay.
I think I've been on that show.
Yeah. So it's a little weird at times, but nonetheless, it's way better than I could imagine. I mean, guys, think about it. We get to talk about all the cool, weird stuff every night.
Living the dream.
Yep.
And, you know, it may not be for everybody, and I know it's not for everybody. I sure as hell know my father will never tune in. Okay? But the big thing is this. We get to talk about all this real cool stuff that people are starting to open up and realize that we're not the crazy conspiracy tinfoil hat wearing morons that they thought we were, that there is an edge of truth to a lot of this. And you know what? I got to admit, I go around town, people know what I do. I like being the town weirdo, man. I do. I like being that guy who is, hey, you know, like I go get a haircut last week, and my hairstylist Nikki, she's like, before you even come in, you better be loaded with some weird stories, man. I need an update. I need an update of what's going on. I said, well, I did see Bigfoot a few weeks ago since I last got my haircut with you. What? She actually stopped the haircut that she was working on. And she's like, you got to tell me this. And then the lady whose hair she's cutting is like, well, yeah, forget about my hair. Let's hear about the Sasquatch. You know?
You bring up such a great point right here, Dave. And I'm just going to interrupt you very briefly to kind of highlight that. The fact of the matter is, when the skies go dark and things get weird for everybody, your show, this is where people will come to find out what's going on. And so the fact is that people are curious now, but at some point there's going to be a sense of urgency behind their questions. And the fact that you're there, that your show is there, that people like Enzo are out there and Grantavious that have been researching and do know some of the truth behind this, it's going to be very useful come crunch time. And crunch time is inevitable. We know that. All your audience knows that too. And so the fact that you've been dedicated, you know, to bring this, you've softened it, right? This topic has been softened. I know I'm a little more open to, you know, the possibility of a Bigfoot adventure through you. You know, you're making me aware of that possibility that I could really go do something like that, even though I have a fear of it. I'm willing to confront it. Well, in a very real sense, you're introducing the public to that very same experience, because perhaps someone else will go on an adventure carefully with your advice and some of your interviews advice. And on the same note, we're going to learn a lot about UFO and UAP, whatever you want to call it, over the coming months. And these shows like yours are going to be the source that the public turn to when they're looking for what the hell is going on. And I don't usually swear, but that is what it's going to be like. And so we applaud this show and we love this show. And it is a break. It's a break from the hard news that nobody really wants to turn CNN on and watch all the time. We need a little other news. And so that's what this is all about, the other news.
Well, gentlemen, we got about 90 seconds here before we got to say goodnight to our radio audience. And I got to say this. It's been 8 years. There's been some great experiences. Getting Lou Elizondo to admit that he's seen aliens, you know, that'll always be a highlight. Nelson Dellis telling us what's it like to almost die on Mount Everest, not once, not twice, but 3 times. That is incredible, passionate radio.
Do you have any other highlights to share on the way out?
Well, hearing people talk about their own personal stories about what they've gone through, about living in haunted houses or being abducted by aliens or having Sasquatch knock on their windows, you know, and scaring them, you know, or having astral travel happen during the middle of the night and they can't get back in their body. I mean, those are the stories that we're going to continue to tell. That's what makes us fun. That's what makes us do what we do. And each and every night when we get to bring in some of these strange, weird topics, we only ask, don't judge us on one show. Listen to a couple weeks, and then you'll get it. And when you get it, you'll be addicted, just like everybody else. And I know I'm not going anywhere. I'm definitely putting in a minimum of 10 years into this. So I'm ready. You're ready. Let's take the next year, make it a great adventure, and have a lot of fun. Grantavious from our weekend show from After Hours, thank you for joining us. Little Timmy Seanor, known as the Timbit, thank you for joining us. Enzo with the perfect hair, who will be joining us in Vegas. Thank you for being a great fan. And Dank for calling in earlier. We appreciate it. It's been a hell of a ride so far. I look forward to seeing what the future holds as we add more radio stations, as we add more listeners, and you keep sticking around as well. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Thank you to everyone listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight, YouTube, Twitch, Spreaker, LGAB, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. I know you're out there somewhere. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us. Because together, my friends, make a mistake. We're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, guess what? We've got room for them, too. We'll start year number 9 tomorrow. Good night.